And welcome back to Stories from the River. This is your host, Charlie Malouf, and I got a treat for you guys again today. I'm here with our regional manager of the West, Chris Wright. Welcome, Chris.
How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
So, Chris, you're the sheriff, right? The sheriff of the West Region in our 2023 Regional Manager of the Year. How did you get the nickname the sheriff, by the way?
It came, I guess, just naturally. The Wild West was the name of the region when I took it over. And it just, obviously, the Wild West needs a sheriff to keep things in line. And
it's got a sheriff, guys. And so you're one of many leaders named Chris at Broad River in our company and on our retail performance team, but you are the one and only Chris Wright.
That's right.
And so you were recognized, in my opening, I said you were recognized with a really nice award at the recent Memory Maker Annual Awards Gala, Regional Manager of the Year in 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a high honor. So we want to speak to you about how you elevated in 2023, but also use this opportunity to get to know you better and your story a little bit better. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So far, so good. So before we get into your history with Broad River, can you share a little bit about your personal and professional history and background?
Yeah, Charlie, I got started in the service industry. Bartending, waiting tables, serving guests was something I was really good at, connecting with people. And I kind of found my life in retail by accident. I had a friend working at the time H.H. Gregg in the stockroom. And just needing a job and looking for something to do, and started in the warehouse, loading appliances and TVs for people, and slowly but surely worked my way up through the company and brought me to Ashley, and here I am today.
Where are you from originally, Chris?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, a lot of great companies based out of Louisville, right?
Yum Brands is big in Louisville. Churchill Downs is a huge thing, and Louisville Brand, the football, basketball program.
Yeah.
They're well known for that as well.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson played for Louisville.
Lamar Jackson, yes. We definitely claim Lamar Jackson.
Are you a Louisville college sports fan?
Oh, huge.
Okay.
Yes,
it's good to know. That's good to know. You said earlier that you thought the service industry was similar to retail.
It translates really well. The taking care of the guest, the servant mentality is huge in this industry.
It's funny, Manny likes to connote the hospitality industry to retail. So I think there's a lot of similarities to like making sure you look after your guest in a hospitable serving manner.
100%.
What's your favorite drink as a bartender? Not to drink, I'm sure to make for others.
There was times, you kind of got to fly by the seat of your pants and make something up. The bar that I worked at was known for an apple pie shot. So to kind of get in and seed my self in the bar, I had to create my own. So I created I forgot what I called it. It was it tasted like chocolate, straight chocolate. It was amazing, and got really popular really fast. And we served a lot of chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. I'm a big fan of the movement towards the spirit-free cocktails called mocktails, and so I love a good muddled blueberry, some ginger beer, some. I like the scene that's going on with the mocktails, Chris. So I don't.
That's a new one for me. That's the first I heard of that. Mocktails. I like
All
that.
right, let's get into it. So, Chris, I know you love your family. You got a beautiful family. Tell us about your family.
My wife Ashley, she's my rock. She's my everything. We welcomed a son into the world here in the Carolinas a couple years ago. He'll be 3 next month. So it's amazing the growth that you can find being a father, being a husband more than anything.
Now, Chris, Ashley came with you. Well, you guys both worked at Broad River when you joined here, right?
That's correct. We both were with the Ashley licensee group back in Louisville, Kentucky. And when we came as a unit, as a group. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome.
And she was great in sales, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, she was $1 million writer.
Yeah, $1 million writer. That's fantastic. And so how long were you in the furniture industry before you joined Broad River?
I've been with Ashley Furniture since, I think, 2008, March of 2008.
You were with the Spencer Group, which then became Dufresne Spencer Group?
I was actually with KHF.
Oh, KHF.
Kentucky Home Furnishings, before DSG came.
And then DSG acquired them?
Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so in what roles did you serve in that company before you joined us?
I started on the sales floor.
Okay.
And worked my way up there as well. We didn't have sales managers there. Mm-hmm. We had ASMs, associate sales managers. And, I sold for them for many years before I, took on the next role and became that. And
Were you $1 million writer
I was.
every year?
Not every year.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I was not a very good salesperson for a couple of years.
Well, hey, we all have to learn the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
But you've gotten better every year, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And how long have you and Ashley been together?
We've been married 5 years now.
Okay.
We're together for 6.
Fantastic. And when did you join Broad River?
2019.
Okay, fantastic. May 2019?
May, yeah, fiscal May.
Okay, we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
So, what are some, before we get like real serious about work, what are some of your hobbies outside of work?
Charlie, I don't have a lot of outside hobbies. Spending time with my family. My son's 3 years old. So, playing with him and hanging out, and, we love to just relax and hang out, watch TV together, and kind of just create our own memories.
That's fun. Enjoy it. Take a lot of pictures and videos while you can, while they're this age.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how long have you known Coach Stacy McCormick, and was he known as Coach when he was at DSG with you?
Funny enough, I didn't personally know Stacy. I knew of Stacy at the Frank Spencer Group, and Stacy's got that big character.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when I first heard Stacy was coming and joining the team here, I thought back to some memories, and to me, I remembered him coming into one of our stores with a big cowboy hat on, but he didn't. Like, I remember talking to Jason Willis, a good friend of mine, and asked him, I said, does Stacy wear a cowboy hat? 'Cause I guess it's that country persona that he had. I just thought he had a cowboy hat on. But
we've got to get him a cowboy hat.
He needs one.
That's got to happen, and a coaching whistle or visor too.
Definitely.
So, who did you know at Broad River prior to joining the company, and what had you heard about our company?
Jacob was a good friend of mine. Him and his wife worked for Broad River,
Mm-hmm.
the Morans, and Stacy Coker had was working here at the time. And Jacob had, told me nothing but great things, and, how much success he was having here and how great it was. And, he gave me a call and told me to come on down. I heard, the culture of Broad River is second to none, and it definitely is. So
yeah, Jacob started with as maybe an AGM or an RPM, whatever, in Pineville, and then he opened the Matthews store, if I'm not mistaken. He did a phenomenal job that first year he was there. Okay, so did you have an opinion about the company before you joined us, or what, based off what you had heard?
No, just the people first, the culture of Broad River. Jacob bragged about it, and until you see it firsthand, it just kind of. Is it true? Is it really true?
Yeah. Well, I vividly remember when I first met you and your wife. Were you married at the time?
We were.
Okay, so you just got married, and it was during your recruiting visit to the river. I think it was early in 2019 during our Orange Crush 3 tour. We met you and Ashley at our Northeast Columbia store, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so what was your initial reaction and experience during that recruiting trip?
Well, at first I was blown away. I've seen the CEOs and the groups, tour the stores, but the kind of the show that was put on and the excitement.
We were going all out that year.
You really were. And to see that. And,
just for you, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you start to wonder, is this really just a show? But, obviously it's not.
So what convinced you and Ashley to make the decision and take the leap of faith to join the river? Were you looking to leave your hometown, or?
I had no intentions, actually. Honestly, I didn't think my wife would ever leave. She, small family, and her mom was her best friend, and they spent every day together. So I didn't think it was an option at all until we came down and actually took the visit and sat down with you and Manny and, talked to some people. And, we went back to the hotel room that night, and I asked her, I said, I know I would never ask you to leave your mom and your family. I said, but this is pretty awesome. And she said, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I was blown away that she said it.
That's awesome. So what was your first role at the river? What was it in Mooresville?
Mooresville, the lake. Yes, sir.
Okay.
General manager.
And you took over as GM at the lakes. And so what was your mindset when you took over?
Well, I don't want to say I was sold that Mooresville was the best store in the company, so it's already running a full functioning, well-positioned store, doing really well, and really just got to come in and kind of hold it all together. And that was exactly the case. You show up and, one of the top performing stores in the company, you've got to find a way to just kind of keep it going and try to grow it.
And I think you did that, right?
We found some success, yes.
So let's talk about your results at the lake. Take us through your first year. So this would have been, May 2019, and then through your second year, which gets us through COVID, I guess, a little bit into COVID.
Oh, yeah, COVID. Don't remind me of that.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, it was great. Coming in and taking over Mooresville, Renee Bradley, the amazing leader that took them to new heights the year before that I came. She was my area manager. So coming in and getting to know that staff and knowing that, they still had a direct line to her. She's plugged into the store and knows everybody really well. And, that culture she had built there, it was fun. It really was, getting to know the people and getting to know a new company and situate it and trying to find a way to find growth when a store's coming off the best year it's ever had. Is it ever good enough, right? Is the question that comes up, but you can always be better every single day.
But you guys found some, I don't know what some of those early wins, I don't recall, but what were some of your early learnings from your time, particularly leading the lake?
Early learnings from the lake would be, really is growing the team dynamic. Like the culture was there that they were a family. Renee ran book clubs and had the culture where, it's not anything I've ever seen. Carl talks about coming in and being a hammer. That's what I was used to. I'd go in and fix a store and hammer it out, and to come into a store that's successful already and the family unity bond, and it's kind of like, oh wow, so now I've got to adapt a little bit and kind of change my role.
Interesting.
It was exciting.
Yeah, and so talk about some of the team and like your standout performers and from your early days there.
First thing comes to mind is Dan Pashala.
Oh yeah,
Dan the man, Diamond Care Dan.
Diamond Care Dan the man. Yeah, he's been a $1 million rider. I think every year he's been with us, 10 years, 9 years now.
Yeah, going on year 10 this year. Sandy Rowland, another top rider. And the list goes on. Leo, she's moved out to the east now. Dylan Price. We had a lot of fun. Ryan Sharp, my guy Ryan up there in Mooresville, still having a good time.
So Chris, what would you say you're most proud of during your tenure, your very successful tenure at Mooresville at the lake?
Finding success beyond where it was and getting the team dynamics to understand that, we haven't arrived. There's still better. There's still more we can do, and we can always improve every single day.
So you kind of bristled when I mentioned the pandemic earlier, 2020. So let's just take a small little detour, talk about that. Yeah. Did you take a furlough when the pandemic hit?
I did not. I personally didn't. Well, let me take a step back there. Towards the end of 2020, I had a pretty serious loss back home in our family. So it kind of worked out where I could take a small furlough.
But that was well into COVID.
It was late.
So you didn't take a furlough because of COVID.
Correct.
So you worked straight through it. And so what was it like leading a retail team during the pandemic?
Well, it's scary for one. You don't know what you're going to bring home. Yeah. Right. So that was something new. But I think that we did a really good job of you and Stacy and everybody. We had daily calls and just the confidence and being comfortable in our new situation that we don't know what's happening every day, and that sanitizing, cleaning the stores every single day, washing our hands and making sure everybody stays safe, masks and all that stuff.
Did you stay in Mooresville or did you take on other stores?
I stayed in Mooresville the whole time.
And they were able to stay open safely?
We never closed one day.
We can't say that about every store.
Right.
Because of either the locale that we were in or not having enough people at times. What will you remember about leading a retail team, running a store, interacting with guests, adjusting to virtual video meetings, wearing face masks, collaborating with your fellow memory makers, and all of the events related to being in retail during the COVID pandemic?
I think that all good leaders, and if you've done it long enough, you go through trials and tribulations.
Absolutely.
I think back to 2015, the store's integration. Yeah. That took us out. Those are all self-inflicted wounds. Not to say that they didn't need to happen or weren't. They eventually were good for the company and good for everybody that did it. But this was not anything we did to ourselves. So to be able to get through that and stand up after it and look back and see the success that we had, even against our back against the wall, basically, to get through it and shine through it all.
So it sounds like you got like a sense of pride and accomplishment 100%. Coming through it. So how did you keep your team safe and mentally sane, as well as positive and upbeat during that time?
I give it to the glory to the team. I forgot to mention David Boyd. He was at the lake for that. Dabo, yeah, David. The people that didn't furlough and stayed in the lake, they were plugged in, 100% ready to go. They had families to support, and they wanted to work. We had a core group of people that came to work every single day, so they were fired up and ready. We just had to make sure we did everything we could to stay safe and protected, so we could keep doing it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we kind of estimated that 30% of the people would need or want to furlough for a period of time, which is exactly how it played out. But the other 70%, and you're trying to find a solution that works for everyone, that's pliable and adaptable for everyone, needed to work. They wanted to work. They needed to make money. And then once the stimulus checks hit and everything, it was very fruitful and prosperous. But I didn't mention the supply chain phrase earlier, for the back half of 2020, that was challenging, right? So what did you learn about yourself during the pandemic?
I learned a lot, the agility, the what it takes to get through something like that. Again, it's not self-inflicted. And the good part about it was everybody was going through it. Yeah. So it wasn't just us.
That's right.
So the understanding, first of all, of the public and, our guests, our customers, that if we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Yeah. So it just gives you some sense of confidence of like, if I can do that, I can, what else can I do?
This is nothing.
Yeah, that's great. All right. We're moving off that topic. We'll move on. Okay. Let's talk about your Broad River career, particularly the West region. On the heels of your success in Mooresville, I had assumed that the next, and we had assumed that the next logical move for you would have been to stay local, but to be promoted to our flagship location in Pineville. But the only constant in retail is change, and an opening arose in the West region, and you and Ashley being pioneers that you are. By the way, is that your wife's name or our company's name on your shirt?
Both.
Yeah, I got it. But an opening arose in the West region, and you and your wife were willing to make another life move once again. And you relocated to the upstate in South Carolina as a district manager for the West. Talk to us about that transition and your decision filters and mindset.
Major life decisions like that, Charlie, there's got to be filters, right? And the first one, I filter through is God, right? Mm-hmm. Is it what my calling? Is he calling me to do this? Mm-hmm. Is it right?
So you pray about it.
Pray about it. Talk to my wife about it. And my wife is my number one rock, and the filter of her is this right for us, and is this right for our family? She just had a baby. She's planning on being a stay-at-home mom, single income. But I also knew that, to convince her to be willing to move another state again, that it had to be the right opportunity for her and, the neighborhood and, the home and all that good stuff. So she really likes the house that we're in now.
That's great. Yeah. So you live in Greenville now?
Closer to Spartanburg.
Spartanburg. And when was when did you make the move?
Well, for a few months, I was making the drive from Charlotte all the way out to Anderson and Greenville from Charlotte. Yeah. But 3 to 4 months afterwards, I think we made the official move.
Okay, which was around when?
Let's see, it had to be in September.
Okay, of
21.
Okay, got it. So we're in the middle of like a raging economy in home furnishings at that point, and so this opening comes up, and so were you nervous about moving into a multi-unit leadership position? That's a big leap of faith, right?
It is. But fortunately for me, the powers above, Stacy McCormick's of the world, and, he had trust and faith that I could get the job done. Mm-hmm. And I knew that with his support and him backing me with you and Manny, the sky's the limit. Yeah. Let's go get it done.
And were you nervous about moving your family, or like, hey, babe, we got a better house here, you're going to love it?
Over my career, I've moved several times, as far as Texas, back to home. And then so this 2-hour move was not a big one for us. So it wasn't that bad.
Okay. So did you feel that you were adequately prepared for this next leap in your career?
I think so, yeah. I had aspirations of becoming multi-unit, at DSG. And coming here, it was, there had to be the right opportunity, and this one was it. So
awesome. So then the hits kept rolling in the West, right? Mm-hmm. And we kept building around the foundation that was being established. We've had tremendous same-store growth, sales growth, new store growth, and overall growth in the West region since you took over. So let me hit on some of those milestones one at a time. The new Asheville store was in the summer of 2021, so we had to get that store going if that's around the time that you moved. the relocation of the Anderson store to the new and improved 2-in-1 Ashley store and outlet that was double the showroom size of the previous location, also in the summer of 21. And then the new distribution center in Spartanburg to service the entire West region. I know that so not just the upstate, but Western North Carolina. And I know that we had some growing pains initially, as there typically are with the brand new DC. And then the new Greenwood store in the summer of 2022. And you know how we, like to say purpose begins with identity. At some point during this time, you refreshed the identity and logo for the West region, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so talk to us about the new identity and the meaning behind it.
It again, like I said, the Wild West, you can't have a Wild West, or you can have a Wild West, but to not have a sheriff in the Wild West, it's free for all. So the original idea was, a Western theme, obviously. I originally thought, some cowboys sitting around a fire. But to be as detailed as it had to be a single person. And, what better way to represent the Wild West than the sheriff? Mm-hmm. I wish I could say that I was self-proclaimed sheriff, but no, it was given to me.
Yeah. So it's a sheriff logo and mascot, but it's still called the Wild West region?
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's a lot of growth and change in just a short amount of time. And we're still in the pandemic time, 21, 22. And so it really served to transform the West region, not to mention the relocation of the Spartanburg store that had preceded that in 2020 to its new and improved expanded 2-in-1 Ashley store and outlet. So when were you promoted from a district manager to a regional manager?
I was a district manager a little over a year. So It was July of 22.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it was probably at my lowest time.
Oh, really?
I was unexpected 100%. We were struggling. We were still trying to get our feet on the ground and feet planted. And again, Stacy, he knew what I was doing, and he had belief in me. And I was shocked and amazed. And, believe it or not, that's the turning point in our success.
Really? Well, how was your promotion the turning point in your success? Did it just give you a
confidence?
Jolt?
Yeah, I think it was just, hey, okay, everything I'm doing is not showing up yet.
Yeah.
But he sees that there's something happening here. So it was just, okay, now take your breath and let's go.
Yeah, he don't be concerned about your job. He was your biggest advocate, 100%. And he was looking at the lead measures and the foundational changes to do it more often. So to recap, personal and professional growth for you, significant growth for the region, and a powerful new identity to go along with a beautiful new distribution center to service continued growth and expansion. It's a really nice story of transformation. And that brings us to 2023. So you had a really special and memorable year last year, a year in which you won the competitive multi-site leader of the year. We call it the regional manager of the year. So what were your goals entering 2023?
My goals for 2023 were to grow my leaders. Everybody that works with me every single day, they all had individual goals. Mm-hmm. So, my most successful time and my most joyous time in life is when I focus on the people that I'm working with every single day. For them to have success is my success. So individually, all their own goals for the year is what I focused on, and how to help them accommodate and get to what they wanted to in their life. And the end result was me succeeding as well.
And did you have sit downs with them at the beginning of the year? What are your goals? Or did you have to help them kind of crystallize their goals with you?
Believe it or not, we actually went through some trainings with the company, and I took my whole region through all my general managers through Matthew McConaughey's, what was it called?
Green Lights?
No, Green Lights was a book, but he actually had a very good book, by the way. He actually had Road Trip was a self-development and growth thing, and we all kind of went through that course together.
That's really cool.
It was fun.
Maybe we can share that a link to it in the show notes here.
Sure.
So what about the stats and KPIs that you achieved last year in the West region?
We had a very successful year. SPG, I think we finished at 493 SPG.
That's pretty strong.
500.
You got to be proud of that one.
Oh, 100%. 500 was the goal, so coming just short of it. But, hey, can't complain about a 493 SPG.
Is that your favorite metric?
Yeah, I think so. We had a strong sauce year. Our secret sauce was good, and the growth and basically our behaviors more than anything. We're focused on tracking behaviors and getting better at breaking down the leads to the lag measures, and we know that the more successful we are at these behaviors, the more impact we'll have.
Do you know things like your turnover, your engagement scores, or the number of $1 million memory makers you had in the West region last year?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the engagement results from last year were promising. Probably not as high of a score as I'd hoped for. But, Greenville, for example, probably some of the highest scores we've ever seen out of that location since I've been around.
That's great. Well, I mean, that's the purpose of it. So like improve upon it's a data point that we can use to improve upon. Okay, well, let me give you a chance to talk about your team. You talked earlier about like you love to see others succeed. So what can you share about the people who contributed to the West Region's success last year? And maybe we'll start with your West Region leaders.
Sure. So first person that comes to mind is Jason Willis. I like to call him my right-hand man. I've known Jason for a long time. We were at DSG together, and we were actually in sister stores in Texas. So I got to know him very well through that. So when he joined me in the West, it kind of gave me, you want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason brings a dynamic to the table where we think the same and we believe the same things when it comes to results. Not long after that, his brother joined us, Jeff Willis.
Mm-hmm.
He's running my largest store. I think Chris Morrell, he's holding it down in the mountains for me and up in Arden. Brian Hodges in Nashville, he's doing a good job for us right now. Melanie Pratt was the GM for the Spartanburg store. But now Pat Johnson's over there, and he's doing a good job for us.
Melanie just stepped down to be a $2 million writer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she'd be the first $3 million writer.
And you got KC.
Yeah, KC down in Greenwood. And I was heading that direction. Jason is a senior GM, and he's over the Greenwood store in KC and her team.
So at what point during the year, Chris, did you really start to think and believe we can have a really special year this year if we keep this thing going?
Probably the midway point to the year. We were actually, I told you the year before that, halfway through the year is when we really started catching on and catching fire. So when we were comping and getting close to what we were doing the year before, and we started beating the numbers from the year before when we were very successful, it was exciting. It was like, oh, if we can beat us when we were really good, like this could be it. This could be the year for us.
And were you looking at lead indicators as opposed to just the numbers at your thermometer? Were you like, what lead indicators were you really paying attention to?
So the behaviors, the three main behaviors that we're focused on as a company and for the West is, comfort test, draw the room, and 3X, which is all amazing tools. And
so you started measuring those, and that's what you were measuring, really monitoring?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The more basically, and I think Mr. Moe, the episodes with Stacy and Carl, they tell you all the amazing things, how much more money people can make, the more behaviors they do. But, it's not about just doing the behaviors. It's actually doing them correctly and for the right reasons and doing it correctly.
But then the year got derailed, came off the rails a little bit, smack. I mean, we had the cyber incident that hit us in the beginning of October. So how did you and the team really respond during that traumatic event?
So that was an amazing opportunity for us because I had a vacation plan. We were going to Gatlinburg for a week. My whole family was
at the beginning of October.
Beginning of October.
When it happened.
So we came out of the senior retail leadership meeting, and I was going straight to Gatlinburg basically. So that was pre-planned. It was already happening. So my right hand man Jason Willis kind of stepped up and took over and kind of led the ship, guided the ship while I was out, and thinking this was, I don't know how long this is going to last. Okay, I'll come back from this PTO, this little break, and then we'll be back normal.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case.
That would have been nice. Sorry, I hope that didn't ruin your vacation.
No, not at all.
All right, good. Well, that'd be a good time to then go away so you could not be in the crisis.
Yeah, right.
So as you look back and reflect, what do you think will stand out from last year for you?
2023 was a hard year, but we got through it and we survived. Looking back at my most successful year of my career, with obviously the regional manager of the year. So, just how great of a year it was.
I mean, I feel like everything just kind of coalesced, and all your behaviors and all the work that you've been doing just really turned out to a special year. Do you have a favorite memory or two or three from last year?
The gala. The gala was a lot of fun. The expert dinner, celebrating our people is so awesome.
And do we do that enough?
I think we, twice a year, the experts, and then the $1 Million Gala, once a year, getting them all together, not virtual and in person.
Yeah.
There's just something about that. Everybody fixed up, dressed nice. It's awesome.
I think we feel like we need to come up with more reasons to do that. I mean, it's something to work hard for and to celebrate.
Every single month, let's do it.
Yeah. You don't want to look at it on a P&L because you can't justify it that way.
Right.
But you can't not justify it when you look at like morale and camaraderie and memories that really stand out and are meaningful. What are you most proud of from last year?
Really, it's. I think I've finally got a team set in place. I think they're all in a good position, personally and professionally. Their own individuals, and I think that we talk about dynasties. Like I think we're set up to have long-term success in the West.
So, Chris, we just had our second in-person Memory Maker Awards gala since being able to be in person again, since COVID and the pandemic. What do these sort of events mean to our people?
Charlie, it's amazing. Go to the Bank of America Stadium and get everybody together, like I said, dressed up and having a good time. The food's always great. The environment's amazing, and our HC team and our Memory Maker Experience team, they put it, man, they're second to none.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing, and they talk about it in the stores for weeks.
Do they really?
Oh yes, 100%.
That's good.
They love it,
especially for those who get to go, because not everyone gets to go.
Right. Well, the people that don't get that aren't invited, or that are on their way to being $1 million writers, they have something to look forward to.
That's right.
They need to go get it.
So, Chris, how did it feel to be announced as the Regional Manager of the Year at the annual awards gala? Were you able to reflect on your entire journey since you joined the River?
First and foremost, I was shocked.
Really?
100%. I had no idea it was coming my way. Stacy's up there talking about the person that's about to win the award, and you don't know if it's you or you don't know who it's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he said he at some point in time, so I was like, oh, that's narrowing it down, and then next thing you know, he said more right more often, and he spells it with the W, and I think I blanked out for a second till I was on stage. Like, it caught me off guard completely.
Wow. And so you've kind of become known as the guru of private events and secret sales. I don't know how you came up. I don't know how you got this reputation. I think there's a brand new playbook for each one, if I'm not mistaken.
We change it every single event is different. It's completely different. It's the same exact playbook every single time because it works.
Yeah, I love that joke. So how did you become the go-to guy for these special events?
I think that I saw the benefit in them. At the lake, we had huge success. I think we went 21-4 my last year as a GM there. We saw the importance of it, and how you can win the month off of them, how big of an event it can be. And if you're doing them right, the people want to work, and they they want to take advantage of that special offer and the special promotion. But more than anything, we're giving back to our communities.
And so, what about these events resonate so much with you?
Hope to Dream has been close to my heart. DSG was a big component of Hope to Dream, and I got to attend events in Louisville, where I'm from, and Indianapolis and St. Louis. And attending those events and seeing those kids come in and getting their very own first bed, the tears in their eyes and their parents there. It's to me the heartstrings behind it all is what is amazing about it.
That's really cool. And so everyone's going to be on pins and needles for this next answer. What is the secret to success for these events?
I can't give that secret away, Charlie. It's the prep. If you put in the work beforehand, leading up to, if you actually follow the prep sheet, it's the best checklist in the business. So we call it the 20-point checklist. If you can honestly check those things off and say that you did it, and be honest with yourself and really follow that, then you can find success with it if you really do it.
Simple, but not easy. You actually have to do the work.
You actually have to do the work.
Yeah. So have you attended both of our home furnishings expert soirees?
I have. Yes.
Okay. I thought so the past 2 years. And how meaningful is an event like that for someone who earns the elite title of home furnishings expert?
They're the best of the best, and they know it. So, how you all step your game up every year for them, and to show them that how important they are to our business and what they do for us every single day. It's important for them because I think they feel distinguished and they want to be set apart. And you all do a really good job of showing them that.
And so have you ever experienced another retailer who has the human capital career path for retail sales associates like the one that we have here at Broad River?
No, never. And it's exciting. If you interview somebody and it says, you start talking about growth and, career pathing, and, they're thinking, hey, I don't want to be a manager. Like, well, that's great. We're actually not talking about that. We have a career path for you staying in the sales role.
Yeah.
Some people just don't want to take on a leadership role, so
Yeah.
they don't think there's a career path.
That's awesome.
There is one.
Yeah, you don't have to be a manager. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
So that's about recruiting, but do you think this type of program helps us achieve our goals and motivate our talented sales force to meet and achieve their potential?
100%. Just the pay increase, being promoted through those, you want to get to that next level, and to do that, you have to succeed. So succeed in selling more is great for everybody.
Okay, let's come down the final stretch here for this episode 1, Chris, and I'd like to bring you back to talk a little bit more about leadership.
Okay.
So we just introduced our 2024 word of the year, connect. And as I mentioned, last year's word of the year was elevate. Prior to that, we had thrive in 2022 and forward together, 2 words in 2021. How important have annual themes been in contributing to our culture, as well as rallying everyone around a common idea for the year?
It's exactly that, rallying everybody around the same theme. Connect, to me, is absolutely amazing. I was so happy when you all said
Really?
that. Well, the C4 process starts with connect, right? We have a C4 class, monthly in our regions, and where we train out the new C4, or not the new, for new memory makers, the C4 process. I joke with them and I say, without connect, the C4 process is C1. It's clerk, right? Like you have to connect with the guests, you have to connect with each other in order to be successful. So, and the word last year, elevate, we came off of one of our best years ever. Mm-hmm. And how do you elevate the best you've ever done? Just all of us focused on the same thing. It's really amazing.
That's awesome. So how do you try to infuse the word of the year to your region's goals and initiatives?
You make it easy on us. It's, connect, elevate, united, forward together. I mean, these are all the things that we need to do, right? So every meeting and it's my email signature. I look forward to putting that on there, my LinkedIn banner, because that's the focus of the year. And that's what we talk about. This year is going to be connecting, and that's all we're going to focus on.
That's awesome. Hey, Chris, this has been fun, but we got a little bit more to talk about. Can I bring you back for part 2?
I'm wide open for it, Charlie.
All right. That is part 1 with the great Chris Wright, Regional Manager of the Year in 2023 for Broad River Retail. Come back next time, and we're going to finish up this exciting conversation. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.